Here's a small video on how I do a year review and also planning the following year. And for that, I use Enrich Cards. So I first start with a negative deck. And I flash out, I clean out all the negative stuff that has been keeping me away. So if you are not familiar with the Enrich negative deck, it's made out of organic cotton. And as you open, there is a little game. Now, for the year review, you don't need this game, so you don't need these questions per se. You just need the lower deck, which has all the cards in it. So what I do, and by the way, these cards, they have wonderful phrases on the back and wonderful also images on the front, although they're a little bit, they can be quite triggerish, or they can be quite strong, but it also makes me think about what would I like to release during this year. And as I go through this year, I pick up 5 top cards that happened to me this year that I don't like. For example, jealousy, anger, judgment, regret, maybe not this one, anxiety, definitely, rejection, criticism, things like that, failure, stagnation. This one is funny, cynicism. God. Okay, fear maybe, or frustration. So first I choose the cards. Could be loneliness, lethargy, sadness, all the cards that, self-doubt, despair, disappointment. Out of these cards, gloom, guilt, inaction, laziness. Through all these cards, and by the way, in each of the card on the other side, there is a quote that is inspirational to help deal with that. But anyway, so I choose 5. I'll just go quickly so you have an idea. So these 5s, for example, I've chosen, right? So then what I do, I put them on a board. So I just position them so that I can first see them. On the board, or you could do it on the table, right? And then I just look at them. And I look at them and I connect with the powerful messages and lessons that these cards have identified for me. And then each one I take slow to read the card on the back. For example, criticism. To avoid criticism, do nothing, say nothing, and be nothing. Albert Hubbard. And I try to ponder. It's true, it's impossible to avoid criticism. There'll always be criticism. What do I do with it? That's a question. So I just put it as a question. How do I deal with criticism? And interestingly, I start feeling a little bit more energy as I start pondering about them and look at them from a different angle. Fear. The only thing we have to fear is fear itself. Franklin Roosevelt. Again, this gives me a different perspective. So I go through these with the help of these phrases. Stagnation. The greatest enemy of progress is not stagnation, but false progress. Sidney Harris. So is it really stagnation, or maybe a learning? Well, maybe some lessons in contemplation, in that inability to progress. Failure. Failure is simply the opportunity to begin again, this time more intelligently. Henry Ford, right? So this is just an inner work. It takes me 10-15 minutes to go through them and mull through, plow through. Anxiety. Anxiety does not empty tomorrow of its sorrows, but only empties today of its strength. Charles Spurgeon. Right. So I just keep them here for now. And then what I do, I choose the other deck and I'm gonna take it out and choose cards that I want in the next year. 5 to 10 cards that I want to bring more next year. So for example, wisdom, moving forward, growth, opportunity, creativity, peace, balance, healthy food, abundance. Yeah. So it could be that, right? And now what I want to do is I want to put these 5 that are sort of there from the previous year, and we're in December, right? So they're still here, they're still lurking in the middle. And I want to surround, let's say they're in the middle on my table, right? And I want to surround them with positive cards that I am choosing for the next year of my life. And I notice what happens as I'm doing this. I am noticing how the powerful resources that I'm choosing for the next year influencing these negative ones that are sort of bunched together, and they are reminders of something. Yeah, they are the starting points of the journey, and they give birth to the other ones that I want to invite in my life. And I make this collage of the future on top of the old. So I'm not ignoring the old, I'm not ignoring the negatives, I'm embracing them. And I'm building on that power, that soil, that fertilizer, that fertilizer, the dirt that I've processed through. It became the dark, the night, and I am turning the light on something that I want. So this is a process I go through visually first, and then what I do afterwards, it takes an hour. I pick each card. I first read the phrases, but then if you don't have the cards, you can write about these things that you want. So for example, abundance. What exactly do you want from the abundance? How much? When? What does it mean? Why is that important to you? And each of them you can write in a very specific terms, making it smart as a goal rather than a big New Year resolution, and make it also tiny. So for example, if I want healthy food, what I would do, I would choose one habit, and it could be drinking of glass of water more often. So every time I go to pee or to do I don't know, every time I brush my teeth, I do a little exercise, I do a little jump on the trampoline. So something that is easy, that is connected to these habits. And this would be my New Year resolutions rather than having the grand idea, because grand idea is great, but unless we chunk them down to small little habits, it's going to be tricky for us to tackle them. So first is the design map, second is chunking down to small little things.